Everybody. I'm Deborah Diamond, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Thanks for joining me today. Today, I'm going to be talking with you about my spiritual transformation, my journey from an investment money manager to a psychic medium, an intuitive, a mystic. It sounds like an unusual path, but actually, this kind of journey is happening more and more to many of us. So I want to share that with you in the hopes that it will help you, because I feel like for many people, they may be going through this process, but it's hard to identify the after effects, the changes that they're going through internally, and it's not something that many of us bring up in company. We don't talk about it with our friends and family because we don't want to be embarrassed or ridiculed or be told, that really didn't happen to you. Well, you and I know that it did. So I want to talk a little bit about my journey in the hopes that this will help you identify perhaps some of the elements or the after effects or some of the things that you have encountered or that you're going through. So if you like these videos, if you like my channel and the videos that I'm presenting for you here and that I'm curating for you, please like and subscribe. And there'll be more videos coming in the future, and to keep them timely and topical, please subscribe, and that way you'll know about the new videos that are coming up. We're going to be coming up with videos on cybacillin, on the changes and transformations as a result of COVID, and many more topics in the coming weeks. So if you're subscribed, you'll know about these. You'll get an alert as soon as the videos are released. So moving on to my spiritual journey. For those of you who don't know my story, I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about it. So as I said, I'm a former Wall Street money manager. I'm a left brain former professional in that industry. However, when I was in the investment business, I always knew things. I didn't know how I knew these things, but I always sort of was able to pick up a piece of paper, a annual report, a prospectus when I was in the investment business, and be able to know if that particular company or industry was a good investment, if the product was going to be a great product, or if the management team would be able to go the distance. I didn't know how I knew that, but I knew it, and I felt it, and that was something that was just part of my work in the investment business. I didn't give it a lot of thought. I didn't philosophize about it because in the investment business, you're very busy. You're on 24/7, and of course, nobody in that business talks about being psychic or having those kinds of abilities. So I didn't know myself what it was. However, a number of years later, I decided to take an intuition development class in New York because I figured, I have pretty good intuition. It'd be fun to tune it up. So I went up to New York for this weekend class. And in the class, we did a lot of different exercises, and I was getting all of them. And I didn't know how that was possible, and nobody explained it to me. So I just kept going until the teacher said, now we're going to do a seance. Can you imagine? I mean, a seance, wow. That wasn't anything I expected. It certainly wasn't anything that I wanted to participate in. But I felt that it was only Saturday morning. This class went through Sunday afternoon, and oh, well, I'll just do this one exercise, and then, we'll go on to the next exercise. The teacher said, if you see anyone, you let me know and I'll tell you what to do. And I thought, that doesn't pertain to me. I'm not going to see anybody. So we meditated. The teacher brought us out of the meditation and she said, does anyone see anyone? And I looked around the room like everyone else. We were all looking at each other. And the teacher said, anyone see anyone? And I raised my hand. And she said, yes, Deborah, what do you see? And I said, I see about 50 people. So these were people who had passed. They were family members of mine. They were friends and loved ones of the other students in the class. And then there were just some random people walking through. So I was completely overwhelmed. I had no idea what was going on. For those of you who've had these kinds of experience, you'll know what I'm talking about. The teacher said, well, if you see someone in the corner of the room, the upper corner, they probably go with someone sitting in that corner. And I said, I do see someone in the corner. And she asked me to describe him. And I said he was Hispanic and he had dark hair, handlebar mustache, big white teeth. And as I described him, the woman sitting in that corner said, I can identify him. That's my fiance. He died 2 years ago. So she knew him. And she said, if I show you pictures of him on my cell phone, would you be able to identify him? And I said, sure. So during the break, she came over. She showed me pictures on her cell phone of various people. And I said, there, that's him. I pointed to one of the pictures and she said, yes, that's my fiance. So she was very overwhelmed. She was very happy that she had made this, we'd made this connection for her. Now, I myself was very overwhelmed. I didn't quite know what was going on. Actually, I didn't know at all what was going on. But she hugged me and she thanked me. And, you know, I come from Wall Street. There's no hugs or thank yous on Wall Street. So, however, I was very cognizant of the fact that I had done something memorable for somebody. I had done something meaningful for someone. And you know what? That's one of the aspects of this spiritual transformation. I think many of you will find that as you are being transformed and as you are eventually transformed into this higher being, you'll find that part of your work or your mission is to provide meaning on this earth, provide meaning to others and to yourself, do meaningful deeds. So this was my first experience with that. I didn't know yet what was happening. I certainly didn't identify this as a spiritual transformation, but I knew that I had done something meaningful, and that's very different than working on Wall Street. So I, like many of you, I didn't tell anybody what happened. You know, in this class, I didn't tell them about this experience. I zipped it up. I didn't talk about it. But you know, months later, I went to New Mexico, to Taos, New Mexico, and I went out there to paint. I'm also an artist, so I decided I would go out there to paint for a few months. This was unrelated to this experience. I rented a place for 2 months and I painted. When my lease was up, I said, I'm not coming back. I didn't know why, but I knew I wasn't coming back, and I listened to that. So I think many of you will find that if you've had these kinds of experiences, now maybe your intuition or your higher self is a little bit more tuned up. You're getting messages, you're listening to those messages, and hopefully you're honoring those messages, even if you don't know what they mean exactly. So I stayed in New Mexico for a number of years, and that's where I began to unpack this energy. And the reason that I was able to do it there was because this sort of thing is very normalized out there. This was a very spiritual community, a lot of artists and writers, painters, spiritual people. So it was no big deal. I forgot that, you know, this is supposed to be something very unusual, because where I live on the East Coast, it's considered unusual. Not as unusual as it used to be, but I live on the East Coast, which is very institutionalized. And so out in New Mexico, this is where I began to process this. And so for many of you who are having a difficulty trying to manage this experience, and perhaps you have had an experience like myself, where you're in a place that's kind of institutional and maybe conservative, so it's hard for you to talk about this or to integrate it. You don't have to move to New Mexico. I have good news for you. The world is changing. The world is shifting right now. So there are many, many others around you who are also going through this, and you can get support from videos like this one, and from books, and you know, probably even from some of your friends who may be going through things like this. So this all laid the groundwork for my experience. And as the years went on and I began to work with this energy, eventually over time, all these shifts and changes and transformations that I experienced became integrated into me. And so looking back on it, you know, I see I was a very different person, but over time and slowly and with the guidance of spirit, I shifted, I changed. Now, I believe that all of you will do this as well. You'll follow similar paths. Some of you will go faster, some of you will go slower. It's really depends on your partnership with spirit and how you're able to handle this. There are many people who have spiritually transformative events and they cannot handle it, and they kind of repress it. And there are others who are, just very excited about it. And so, it's an individual experience. But for me, it was something that unfolded over time. And as I look back on it, I can now identify how some of these shifts and transformations took place. But at the time, I didn't know that that's what it was. I was just kind of following my nose. I was following my intuition, my higher mind, my inner self, whatever you want to call it. And I was going down that path. It worked out pretty well. I'm glad that I did. But all of you who are having these transformative experiences, yours is not going to look exactly like mine, but you'll have some aspects of it that are similar. And I'm sure that internally you'll go through some of the same things that I did. And I want to let you know that it's okay. That's part of this experience. It's a big deal to have a spiritually transformative experience. And it's all for your greater good and for the greater good. But I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you this is like the easiest thing in the world, because, look, nothing's easy, right? But it is something that I think you'll be grateful for and be happy about. And for those of you who are going through it right now, I would say your timing is great, because, as I've said in previous videos, many people are going through this now. So you're having a lot of company, and you'll have more company in the future when you come out the other end, because there's a great shift going on right now. So some of the other things that I've dealt with because of this transformation are sensitivities. I think probably some of you have had this as well. Sensitivities to different foods, different chemicals. I think you find that people who've had spiritually transformative experiences have a low tolerance for certain chemicals, drugs, pharmaceutical drugs. And so, that might be something some of you can identify with. Your diet may change. I'm a vegetarian. Maybe some of you are as well. So that may be another aspect that changes. And your interests are probably going to change. I doubt that you're going to be watching a lot of shoot 'em up TV shows. Most people who have these experiences really aren't too interested in violence, in negative, sort of dark energy. So, there's really a lot of aspects in how this works its way through your life. But, don't freak out. It's all good. It's all normal within this context. Who knows what normal really is, but it's all normal within this transformative experience. And you'll, I believe, embrace what I referred to at the beginning, which was finding the good, finding your purpose where you are able to help others and experience some sort of higher vibration activity in your work and in your life. I think that's what this is really about. So I hope that this video that I've presented for you today about my experience, my transformative experience, is helpful to you. And if you have questions and comments, please leave them in the comments section below. And again, please subscribe and like. And I'll look forward to seeing you in future episodes, which, as I said, we're going to be coming up with a podcast on psilocybin and its effects. And we're also going to be talking about the COVID experience on transformative experiences for each of you personally. So, there's lots of good talks that are coming up. So if you subscribe, you'll know about them immediately and you won't miss a one. So thanks for joining me today, and see you next time.